Hey guys, man, do you see my new hat? It's not really new. It's clean, man. Just cleaned it up, dude. There. So I love this hat. I've always loved this hat. I thought it was one of the best products we sold on the Driveway Liberty Media store.
I thought
which
it was
you
like
could go.
khaki colored.
It was for a minute there, but then I soaked it for an entire day in an oxygen-based cleaner. They're not sponsoring podcasts, so I'm not going to mention them. And
So
now I have my white hat back.
I'm surprised it retained its shape.
Oh, it did great, man. It's perfect.
It's available on the.
So available on the Driveway Liberty merch store. You should check that out.
So is this shirt.
Yes, so is that shirt and a bunch of other merch. Yeah, and we'll have more coming soon. In the meantime, let's do this damn cast.
Yeah.
1, 2, ready, play. I was raised in a place where the preacher's voice was loudest. Righteous path and a good life was what made you proudest. Saw them Sunday. Dan, you have a good week, buddy? I hadn't seen you since last Sunday, man. You've been busy.
I have been busy
Have
this
you?
week. Full workload at work. Things are heating up. It's a season.
Yeah, I was busy worrying about taxes all week because, that government theft, if you don't pay them, they come take you and your shit. So I didn't want that to happen.
Hopefully something will change there.
I hope so.
I don't know. Hope's not a strategy. It hasn't worked so far.
Right, absolutely. You were telling me, man, before we got on the air or started taping, do we tape anymore? It's video. It's video.
Record?
We don't have tape anymore.
Record?
Recording, yeah. Before we started recording, you were saying you had a story that you thought would be good
Yes.
to open up with.
Yes.
What you got, Dan?
So I had to get some work done on my truck. I needed new brakes. So I went to a local, mechanic shop, and I was sitting in the waiting room.
Right.
Now I took the day off, and I had planned to be there pretty much as long as it took, because these things are never fast when you're sitting there waiting for your car to get done.
Not at all.
So I'm sitting there and I'm playing around my phone, looking at Facebook, reading and stuff. And this lady walks in. And you know how you can tell that the person just wants to talk?
Yeah.
Like,
just has something on their
mind.
mind.
There was 3 or 4 other
just a
people that
talker.
came in and out and in and out. And I didn't talk to anybody else, but she came in and she starts talking. And then she says, like, it's like not to me, but it's to me, says, man, pretty soon we won't even have any schools left. So I looked at her and I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, they're all going to be in El Salvador or Guantanamo Bay. And I'm like, I looked at her and I said, do you really believe that? And she was like, well, I'm like, think about it. Do you really believe that?
Wait. Well, let's back up. Who's going to be in El Salvador?
Well,
the schools?
She's talking about dismantling the Department of Education. Is pretty much going to eliminate.
I don't understand
this
how
person who's.
tied
I bet she
El
was.
Salvador.
She was probably El Salvador is where he's sending the
ICE.
the
illegal
just her
immigrants.
trying to be a smartass.
Oh. It wasn't working.
but she
liberals can't meme or
No.
have no sense of humor.
But
They
no,
work.
there's more to this story.
All right, I'm listening.
So it turns out she's not a liberal. She's a Republican.
No, she's not.
She says she's a Republican.
No.
So she said she's the only one in her family that didn't vote for Trump. She lives on a ranch.
It's like the second data point to prove she's
She
not
lives on a
Republican.
ranch in Wyoming.
What? And she didn't vote for Trump?
But the whole everything the entire time I'm talking to this lady, and pretty much I didn't argue. It was a different Dan.
Yeah.
I pretty much just sat there and asked questions to make her actually think. Like when she was talking about the schools are all going to be gone because Trump is eliminating the Department of Education. I'm like, do you really believe that? But it also signifies the power of, I don't know, call it the media, call it society. Because, the media isn't I don't think that's the right word anymore. It's pretty much any way in which you get information.
Right.
So whether that's from your phone, from
Yep.
TV,
I'm looking up some information
from the radio, from wherever it is, advertising, movies, shows, etc. Pretty
Right.
much our society has created an environment where they're going to do whatever they can to make it look like the person who's in charge that they don't like is literally the boogeyman.
Yeah,
They're going to
absolutely.
destroy everything we
No
know.
matter what or how human that individual seems. And that's what you do is you demonize, and I don't want to get too serious. All right, real quick stat. Wyoming went 71.6% for Trump. There's like 12 people there. So she's like the only person in Wyoming
Yes,
that
and
actually voted for Trump.
She actually tried
voted against Trump.
to tell me that as a point.
Like that's a
Like
good
she's
thing.
like, I'm the only one that voted against Trump. And I didn't ask, but I probably should have. So you're a Republican and you voted for Joe Biden?
Kamala.
How's that better? I mean, I'm sorry, Kamala. Thank
Yeah.
you for correcting me because that's how fucked up the whole situation was.
It is pretty messed up. It is. Pretty
So
messed up.
I end up, and then we, the conversation went in different directions. But you learn about this lady, and she's literally the person who should be voting for Trump based on her
her life.
everything about her
about
life. But she is freaking proud of not voting for her. She's proud of standing up to the rest of the family.
I think
And I'm
it's
like,
called
you-
drinking the Kool-Aid.
I'm like,
what's happening here.
you like, do you really believe any of this stuff you're saying? Because it's literally absurd.
Sounds like it is absurd, Dan.
Yeah, and it was absurd. So I'm sitting in the waiting room for that. And by the way, I was there for 4 hours. Getting
Wow.
my breaks down a much.
Well, I think you bring up a good point. Rather than sitting there and be adversarial with somebody, the way you, and sometimes we are convinced. Our minds are changed.
Sure.
But the way you do that is through asking questions to better understand someone's point of view.
I was asking questions to make her realize how ridiculous.
No,
she
I
was
get
sounding.
that, and that is, you when you're asking them questions to clarify their point of view, you make them truly think about their point of view and why they feel a certain way.
And it's funny
And that's a brilliant way to show somebody how stupid they are,
And it's funny to see their reaction.
right?
Because when they realize that what they're saying is absolutely ridiculous, they change the subject.
Absolutely. You know what?
It was great.
My hat looks awesome, doesn't
Your
it?
hat does look awesome.
It looks
It's
great.
no longer beige,
It's not.
khaki,
It's not. Yeah, it's not
off-white.
nasty.
It's
Yeah.
pretty.
All right, we'll be right back right after this with the news
Kinda.
that you missed. Kinda.
The kind of news you missed.
Right. Or the shitty news. Yeah, or some actually legit shitty news coming up right after this.
Apparently, NASA has put out a contest.
Yeah.
They're offering $3 million.
$3 million.
$3 million to anybody who can figure out a way to recycle poop in space. Like, this is not a joke. This is a
So
real story.
space is infinite. Just, and shit floats in space, literally.
Apparently, there's
There's some on the moon, right?
apparently
It's
there's like 96 bags of shit left behind.
Well, they were up there like a
On
day and
the
a half.
moon.
I mean, what was going on with that? They're dropping these little hot pockets all over
Well,
the moon.
they were leaving evidence to prove that it's not fake.
Okay, fair, understandable. That's a lot of evidence.
Apparently,
96 pounds.
well, think about
and
it. You're
that's space weight too,
you're-
because everything weighs less on.
not
on
96. I don't know if it's 96 pounds. 96 bags. Like you
So
got,
that's more than 96 pounds.
yeah.
I mean, at a minimum, it's a pound each. It's probably 2 pounds each. So it's almost 200 pounds of poop on the moon. That's a lot of hot pockets you're dropping in. And
But just think about it for a minute.
I don't want to. I'm done thinking about it.
You're in
That's enough
space.
thinking
Yeah,
about it.
Listen, your bodily functions don't stop.
No, accurate. Yeah.
So basically, they're
Apparently they
putting
speed
them in
up.
putting them in a Ziploc bag and tossing them out.
You and I, after like a day,
Into
we'll
a
go out on
crater?
a Saturday night drinking, And then the next day, our gastric system is like, it's like superpower.
Can't drink in
Just
space.
without getting too.
Can't drink in space.
Can't drink in space because 96 bags.
Well, there goes the colonizing of the fucking moon and Mars, so we can't drink in space.
No, can't.
that shit
I'm
right
not.
out
I'm
the
out.
window.
I'm done. But yeah.
So let's just say somebody comes up with this idea. And the idea that NASA is pitching is to recycle it into useful resources like fuel,
Yeah.
fertilizer,
Well, that's a more viable
or maybe
version of it.
a snack.
I'm gonna pass on the
If
snack.
things get weird.
Fuel
So,
or
just
fertilizer.
imagine this. You're sipping a dirty martini, and that gives it a whole new definition of dirty. In 2045, made with ice recycled from Buzz Aldrin's piss.
All right, what you got?
How
other than
absurd
this?
is that?
It's ridiculous, man.
But it's real. It's
Okay,
a real story.
I mean, yeah. All right, cool.
All right, so this one's a little more serious, though.
Okay.
Colorado, so their House and their Senate passed a gun bill, which basically any semi-automatic weapon with or gun with a discharge magazine with more than 15 rounds is now going to have a shit ton of regulations on it. So just the details. You're going to have to take a 12-hour course and then get a registration card from your local sheriff.
I mean,
And
shall not be infringed is
yeah,
pretty clear.
I can't
thought.
wait to see the Supreme Court battle on this.
Yeah. Well, and Colorado has turned into a real liberal bastion, a liberal. I used to be, and I'm still not opposed to deregulation of drugs. I'm just not. I mean, if I think if you're stupid enough to go out there and overachieve on your drug consumption and die, that's on you. Yes, it hurts your family. I'm not not heartless to that.
There's such a thing as natural selection.
But, social Darwinism is a thing, and I think it should be apropos. That being said, it seems like Colorado, just a few short years ago, was a conservative stronghold. But now they're just like super duper liberal, filled with a bunch of hippies sitting around doing mushrooms and smoking weed and making stupid laws about guns.
We were cheering and all excited about the exodus of California. The problem is the conservative people didn't leave California and go to Texas and Colorado and these other places.
Right.
The liberals went to basically try to take it over, and it's happened. And look at Austin is a liberal cesspool in Texas.
Oh yeah, it's terrible. Did you hear about the Muslim communities? That was one of the things I had. Speaking of news you may not have heard of, just outside of Houston in a little suburb. Is that one of yours?
Nope.
Muslim communities are starting up. They're building subdivisions just for Muslims. You have to be a devout Muslim. You cannot be an infidel.
They're using the laws that they were able to use senior communities.
Yeah.
So that's how they're getting around the laws to restrict who can live there and who can't.
You have to have permission from the imam, which is the Muslim preacher dude. Mm-hmm. For those of you not familiar, you have to have his permission to live in the neighborhood. And women must be subservient to their husbands.
Well, they
must wear their garb.
This didn't just happen by itself. This is a product of the local government being taken over by these people.
Sure.
So that they can put these things in place. Because, listen, you can't just drop in and do this because your local, hopefully your local government's going to kind of put an ixnay on that.
Absolutely. Well, that's enough about Muslims. Let's talk a little bit about Trump's physical.
It's amazing.
It's great.
It is amazing.
Hilarious.
So he's 78 years old. He had his annual physical. And the press is like, because
they're hoping for
they're just dying for
some
something.
little tidbit of something to grab hold of.
Well, because the the way Biden was, and that was the narrative that didn't need to be faked. Biden was lost.
Yes.
So now they're hoping there's something in there that they can tie to Trump. Well, they have a It's called the Montreal Cognitive Assessment.
That makes sense.
There's 30 questions.
Sorry, my Canadian friends. I love you. But
So here's a couple of examples of some of the questions. You have to remember 5 words.
yes.
You have to be able to identify a lion. And you have to be able to draw a cube. So basically, Trump got 30 out of 30, so he aced kindergarten. So one of the questions was,
Name
they
his
asked
colors.
Trump to draw a clock. So he drew a Rolodex
Rolex.
and labeled it Trump time
Rolex.
and told the doctor to put it in a museum.
Rolex, not Rolodex. Rolodex is where you used to keep your phone numbers.
Rolex. Did I say Rolodex?
You said Rolodex.
Can you edit that?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to edit it because it's funny.
Yeah. Well, maybe I should take that cognitive
Maybe
test.
you should. We'll
So
go-
another
I'll
thing-
bring a box of crayons next week and see if you can name what colors they are without looking at the label.
Probably not. Because you've seen the
'Cause
colors.
those colors
You've
are
seen the
messed
colors
up.
on the crayons? No way. All right. Here's an amazing stat, which when I presented this to you, you didn't believe it.
I still don't believe it.
Trump
though-
weighed in at 224 pounds.
There is no fucking way that dude's 224 pounds.
Dude, Trump is 10 pounds lighter than I am.
He's considerably less than I am, and I don't believe it because he's what 6'2", 6'3".
He's like almost 6'4", isn't he?
Yeah, there's no way that dude's 200. Now there's some.
Well, he's got small hands, so that takes away some of the weight.
Yeah, those baby hands weigh about 20 pounds, if that. All right, so Trump had a physical. He passed. So y'all shut the hell up until next year when he goes and has another one. We'll see if he can name his colors and say his ABCs next year. And either way, it's better than Biden. Biden should have been eating Jell-O sitting outside in the garden at a retirement facility somewhere.
He was.
Well, sure.
Kind of most of the time he was.
Yeah, absolutely. So what else we got in the news, Dan? We're starting to get a little wordy.
Wordy. All right. So China apparently is, in response to the tariffs, is considering banning Hollywood movies in China.
Okay. I'm okay.
I
have no
honestly
problem.
think this is the first win for Chinese citizens since General Tso's chicken.
Probably because all they're doing is remaking shit from the 70s and 80s and just painting it as making them woke. So that actually would fit more with the Chinese market because they heavily censor and utilize movies in a woke fashion over there. But maybe, just maybe, there's some things in the hopper. You remember back in the 80s and early 90s, a lot of movies were very patriotic. They were very pro-American. Maybe because the tides are changing, as we discussed.
Yeah.
Maybe
This might be a
there's some
good thing.
things that are coming, and China doesn't want their citizens to see that kind of thing.
Or maybe this is just going to force Hollywood to actually make movies that American citizens would watch.
Sure.
Of course, listen, the reality of it is China makes up about 5% of Hollywood's market. So basically them saying no more American movies is equivalent to like them unplugging your fax machine.
Right.
It affects like 6 people.
Yeah, because they already heavily censor what can be seen, I can assure you. But is this in response to the General Tso's chicken thing that Trump did last week?
No.
Instead of calling them General Tso's chicken, we're renaming them to Donnie's Little Nugs.
Nice little nugs. Yeah, I like that one. All right, so last story.
All right.
Last story in this exciting segment. So we've all had the experience of our children complaining about a monster under the bed or a monster in the closet, those kind of things.
Right.
Well, in Kansas, a babysitter didn't believe the child. So in order to assure the child that everything was okay, the babysitter pulled back the sheet, looked under the bed,
And there was a dude.
and found a freaking monster. The dude was there. So
and it was
the ex of the mom was hiding underneath there.
dude.
Apparently had a restraining order, which we all know that criminals
Don't really follow.
know that a sheet of
Laws.
paper will actually, somehow magically
It's kind of
stop
funny
them
you
from
bring that
violating the
up
law.
because that also relates to that Colorado gun story.
It absolutely does, 100%.
Yep.
100%.
Yeah.
So this guy got released on bond for domestic battery. And he ends up being under the bed of, I'm assuming it's not his child.
I mean, I don't know. The story didn't tell us.
Yeah, it didn't give a lot of
there's
details.
A lot of, and for those of you writing stories, here's a little journalism 101. What, why, how, and who. Those are things that should, and when should be in your story every time you write it. I've noticed so many written stories, so many other stories that don't include those 5 things that used to be necessary for journalism.
They're not journalists anymore.
No,
they're
editorial.
Yeah, well, most of it is.
Yep. All right, I'm getting off my soapbox about that.
Remember last week, Wes's mic went down
Right, yeah.
this? We fixed it.
We did, and we got a new cable so it doesn't rustle.
All right.
You know, Russell, that's that dude with no arms and no legs laying in a pile of leaves. That's Russell. You ever heard that joke before?
Yeah.
Okay, that's hilarious. It's a great joke. All right, we're going to take a little break. We'll be right back after this message that tells you, why you should be sponsoring this podcast.
You forgot about Bob.
Bob.
No arms, no legs.
Oh, yeah, he's taking a swim. Yeah, and Art.
Matt. No arms, no legs at the front door.
Yeah. All right, we'll be right back right after this.
Terrible jokes.
All right, guys, welcome back. Hopefully you saw that advert, the fake advert that I created just for you with the girl sitting there playing the guitar.
Maybe someday we'll get real adverts.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That would be awesome. Or you could go to our Patreon page and sponsor us. And again, thanks to everybody that stuck with us in our break. I know we lost 1 or 2 people, which is understandable. I absolutely hate talking about this guy because he's been a propagandist for the left for so many years.
Well,
but
here's what I think's happened.
Okay.
I think this person, we haven't named him yet, this person has realized that in order for him to stay relevant, he has to change. Not that he's changing his views.
I don't know that
but his performance is more nuanced.
He's shock jock style, and doing stuff like he just did gives that shock to his existing audience that follows him.
But how many times do you see his video shared by conservatives that are like, okay, we're getting to these people. They're finally starting to pick it out. This person's making sense. You see it a lot. So maybe people are getting fooled. Maybe there's a little combination of both. It's obvious we're talking about Bill Maher.
Sure, absolutely. He with Kid Rock acting as the diplomat to the left, which is
Dana
hilarious.
White was there too.
Oh, Dana, yeah, he's cool.
He's no diplomat.
No, definitely not. But through Kid Rock, they had Kid Rock got with Trump, who he's close to, and he got with Bill Maher, and he's apparently a friend of Bill Maher. And they have some areas in which they agree.
Listen, there's a world in which we live in that people who politically disagree can still be friends.
Sure, absolutely.
Shocking.
It's kind of weird.
Amazing. It used to be that way all the time.
Used to be, yeah, absolutely. So what happened? What had happened was Bill Maher went to the White House and he had lunch with Trump. And I'll let Dan take over and tell a little bit more of the story.
He was there for like over 2 hours.
Yeah, absolutely.
And basically and watch the video, and it's a little long. It's probably like 10 minutes long.
Yeah, I don't even want you to watch the video. That's the reason I'm not showing it during our cast.
Well, you can watch the video if you want to hear his word. But I think there's validity to people being exposed to bullshit too.
Sure.
So
unless
you can watch this
by that bullshit, which is what has been done by him for years.
Listen, there's enough insane liberals out there that are going to watch his stuff that us not watching it isn't going to keep him from making money. All right. So it's there. So I understand you don't want to give him.
If you want to go watch it, go watch it. I tried to watch a portion of it. And
I watched it, and it was interesting to me.
I
thought it was interesting.
Bill Maher is probably the nicest guy in the world. I don't know him personally. But in that video, he talks about Trump, and he wishes the Trump that he met. Sorry, I'm stealing your thunder.
But no, you're not at all.
But I feel like I'm fighting you to get a word in.
Really? Really?
So Bill Maher goes to the White House, man, and he finds a Trump.
Last time I checked, you handed this off to me.
Well, I did, but you kept,
I'm sorry. Go
defending
ahead.
Bill Maher.
Go ahead.
So
I'm not defending Bill Maher at all.
He went to the White House and hung out with the president, and he actually wishes that president that he met, the guy that he met in private, was more forward-facing in that attitude with everything else. Now I'll shut up and let you talk.
My turn.
Your turn.
Okay, so couple things. Number one, I think Bill Maher is fake as shit.
Agreed.
Like he's literally, you can tell just if you just watch it, and especially as I'm learning this world of creating content ourselves.
Sure.
You can tell when people are full of shit.
Absolutely.
And you're reading. All the newscasts you see on TV, almost all, are all people reading scripts.
Yes.
They're just really, really good at reading scripts.
Yes.
And I know this because I really, really suck at reading scripts.
Yes, you do.
And you can pretty much tell I'm not reading a script right now.
Right. Accurate. I can confirm that.
He met Donald Trump, and it turns out that he realized that Donald Trump is not a psychopath.
He's not Satan.
He's just a normal freaking guy. He said he's lucid. He's an interesting person. He's not an asshole. He's got a sense of humor. He's basically a normal person. Bill Maher brought in a list of the 60 insults that Trump made of him over the years.
Okay.
And he handed it to Trump, and Trump signed it.
It used to bother me that Trump played that third grade thing in debates where he give everybody a nickname. But then I sit at a bar with you, and the insults we pass at
We
each
do
other,
the same shit.
It's the same shit. It's like buddies just busting each other's balls.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's
listen. To me, one thing I got out of this, and it's not just this; it's everything. Is listen, we have to get out of the mindset of trying to find the perfect person as the leader, as people we elect at any level.
Well, so I relate this to being a pastor's kid. When you are a pastor or a pastor's family, you live in a glass house, and you are expected to walk this earth as Jesus himself did, perfect, without
which is
sin.
ridiculous.
And it is absolutely it's unrealistic. Nobody can live up to that standard. Number two, that's why preachers' kids are always the wildest, because
I went to a Catholic school. Holy shit.
They live in that atmosphere, and when they get out of the house and outside of that atmosphere, I can attest to this. They go hog ass wild. I can assure you. I am 50-something years old, and I still play rock music in bars.
Yeah,
Which is the devil.
You went to a big festival yesterday.
I did. I played at the Blues Fest in Tallahassee, Sound of the Blues Fest. There is a separate fest called the Blues Fest, and I had a big time, man.
That's pretty awesome, Wes. I'm happy for you, brother.
Thank you, buddy. I was happy.
How was your stage manager?
Stage manager sucks ass, man. He didn't even come. He stayed home and cut the grass.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I did.
Dan's always talking about what he's like. I'm going to be your stage manager, and I'm like. I like hollered at him Friday night. You want to go with us to Tallahassee? No, I got to take out the trash. I
did actually.
He took out the trash.
We have to actually break down our boxes now.
That's a shame.
Because we have a trash can that they won't take it unless everything.
All right, my bad. That's a legit excuse for not being a good stage manager. You got to break your boxes down. So anyway, guys, if you are so inclined, go watch that Bill Maher clip. And I think
don't forget to listen to
the Driveway Liberty podcast on audio.
The audio, we've got a new product.
We do have a new product.
It's called Heritage in Honor.
And we will try our best to get that out every Friday about midday. That's
all right. That sounds like a good cadence.
Yeah, I think so. We'll
this
have
show on Monday.
This show on Monday. That Heritage in Honor comes out on Fridays.
Friday.
Yep.
I believe
and depending on how we feel, one of us will be, telling you the story about great Americans.
Yeah, we'll go back and forth.
Who have traversed, beyond odds and showed that great American spirit in accomplishing great things in their communities.
It's really just some cool shit we come across.
Some cool shit,
some stories,
some badassery.
Cool shit.
is what it is.
Badassery. That's a good word.
Thank you. That's one of my favorites. So, hey, guys, I am just Wes, not your uncle anymore. For Dan, we'll see you next time on the Driveway Liberty podcast.
1, 2, ready, play. I was raised in a place where the preacher's voice was loudest. Righteous path and a good life was what made you proudest. Saw them